It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Alabama A&M Bulldogs head bowling coach for the women's, Coach James Moore. How are you doing today?
Doing great, doing great. How are you today, Brandon?
I'm doing good. Can you
Good.
talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching and collegiate bowling?
How I knew I was going to get a good. Listen, um, when it came down to it, I saw that there was a need for a head coach really bad, and I am an alumnus of the university from a master's and undergraduate point of view, and I felt like this is a good time to pay it forward. So that's really why I dived into it because other than that, I was busy doing a lot of other things too, but I felt like the school needed somebody that could give it some direction. So that's why I jumped into it.
What was your experience like getting to play professional bowling?
Uh, I never got to that point of professional bowling because back in my day, you really had to be really good. Things are the paydays were pretty good, but you had to be really good to get to that point. I never got to that level. I basically bowled the state and regional tournaments like that. Um, it just, if you had time to do it, I wasn't as committed. A lot of people tried to, encourage me to follow that kind of thing back when I was in high school, but I decided not to. It just wasn't for me at the time. So, but I watched bowling every weekend from 1976 until they took it off television, like in the mid 80s in the afternoon, Saturday afternoon. So I knew of all the professional players, and I've had the chance to meet a number of players too. So that's been pretty cool too.
Of course, what was your experience like getting to work those bowling camps?
Now that was really exciting. The first year I went there, I went to see. Pete Weber was there, who was a Hall of Fame bowler. His dad was Dick Weber, who was a Hall of Fame bowler, one of the organizers of bowling, professional bowling in the country. Um, that was really exciting. My wife got a chance to actually work with Pete Weber, and he really taught me a lot in terms of coaching, basic fundamental bowling 101. He taught me a lot about that. Meeting Jason Belmonte was really kind of cool. He came to Scottsboro here in a small community. Somebody invited him here, a friend of mine, and that was really cool because Jason is very the same guy you see on television. If you see him, he was the same way then, and that's before he became the Belmo that he is now worldwide. But there's no question about it. He was very very influential in helping me out my game also.
What was your experience like volunteering for the youth level for the academy bowling?
Um, What a volunteer was just something that I created the academy after going to Indianapolis, and there were kids who had no idea what Junior Gold was. Junior Gold is this national tournament they hold every year that tons of kids, 3,000-4,000 kids go to, hoping to earn scholarship money for college, or get selected by college to bowl in college, and it really has had a lot. When they first started, the first year back in the early 2000s, they had maybe less than 500 kids. Last year, I think it was like 4,000 kids total, and this year's going to be Indianapolis, so it's going to be a big crowd again. But after the kids who were here had no clue, and I just happened to be there taking a test on becoming a certified coach, and there were like over 1,000 kids in one division, and the kids from here, neither of them got inside 1,000. They finished like after three days of bowling, they were still like in the top guys, not no, I'm sorry, the bottom 11, 1,200, that range. And I just thought that something was completely wrong. And so when I came back, uh, I was busy helping somebody, working in Saturday morning leagues. And so I asked a friend of mine, I said, what do you think? Maybe I should start my own league. He said, yeah. So there's a Redstone Arsenal here in town that was looking for a youth league. And I went and talked to my wife, and I went and talked to the manager and said we want to create one. And he said, okay. He said, I'll let you guys do and see what happens. So it kind of started from that point. And my wife is like the assistant coach. She handles a lot of the paperwork and league stuff. I handle all the coaching duties. And then we hired some other parents. Gary volunteered, and it's turned out great. It's kind of going through transition right now, but we were able to send at least 12 or 13 kids to college with who got selected to play for the bowling college with scholarships. So, it has a positive result to it. And so I'm hoping that it's transitioning now. All those kids have graduated, and some of them are out in the working world now. So I'm hoping that now I have a bunch of 9 to 13-year-olds. So start from scratch all over again. But it's very rewarding. It really is, because when they win or when they bowl good, the parents are happy. At the end of the day, that's all that matters.
Of course, what has that been like, obviously, to have those first players that you coach now in college and transitioning into maybe even coaching bowling?
I've actually had a couple ask me about that. Had one call me from North Carolina who's in high school, who started coaching. She's coaching because she ran track in college, and so she's coaching track, and she wants to start a bowling team. And she called me one night out of the blue, saying like, I just need some tips on how do I get started and that kind of thing. And which surprised me, but she was very athletic though. And I just told her basically how to get started, with the kids and trying to get the parents involved and everything. So that's probably the only one for right now. Everybody else said they'll bowl outside of, like, once they get out of school in a bowling league or something like that, or they may volunteer their time on Saturday morning. So it's trying to actually create that environment where people back in this. I don't know how much you know about bowling per se in terms of its history, but bowling was very big back in the 50s, 60s, and early 70s because everybody did it, and there were so many bowling centers that were popping up everywhere. They were really, especially up north. And people that was a social thing to do during that time. Just go bowling, bowl. I mean, even here in Huntsville, which was a small community at the time, they had 24-hour lanes here going, and so they had shift work on. There's a Chrysler plant that was here, and it had shift work, and so you would leave, either you bowl before you went, or you get off bowling. I mean, you leave work and then you go to bowl. So it was a nonstop thing, and that was the heyday of bowling. And now it's going through a transition, still trying to find its identity again. And it's just challenging because a lot of sports like soccer and volleyball wasn't as popular as they are now with kids. So, and bowling has gotten a little bit expensive too. It's not a cheap sport. It's not a cheap sport, but it has the rewards. What I tend to do is that a lot of people buy bowling balls and they get rid of them, and they give them to me, and I give them to the kids. That way the parents, and I tell the parents, don't spend a whole lot of money. Let me just give them the ball, see what they do with it. They may like it, don't like it, it didn't cost you anything.
Of course, what was that like getting started in coaching in college bowling and coming to Alabama A&M?
Well, since I work, I have been on campus teaching since '98. So I was in grad school in the late '80s. So it wasn't like a big transition. I knew how to, after going to Kegel 3 times, I knew how to actually go about trying to get somebody started bowling. What you need is somebody who really wants to bowl. That's the bottom line. It's not just something that, it's like playing golf. Like, well, I got some clubs. Let me know where you want to go play. Okay. Versus like, hey, what you doing this afternoon? Let's go out. Let's go hit some balls. Let's go do this. Let's go play 9 holes. Let's do that. That kind of thing. That's really the difference in players being successful, because people don't really, and I'm sure you heard this from other coaches, people don't really look at bowling as a sport per se. I don't know what else do you want to call it, but I dare you to take a 15-pound ball, start at 8 o'clock in the morning, bowl to like 4 in the afternoon, and let me know how you feel like at 4 in the afternoon, without a lunch hour in between that. Let me know how you feel then. Okay. Let me know how much sleep you're going to get after getting up at 6:30 in the morning and breakfast, getting loose, and you bowling. And if you're bowling like crap, You just got to suffer through it. You have no like, can I get out of the game? No, you just got to suffer through it. Let me know how you feel then, and then come back on Saturday and do it. I'll do it on Saturday morning, and come back on Sunday morning, early on Sunday morning. And then get on a bus and ride anywhere from, I don't know, 3 to 6 hours back to the. Let me know how you feel on Monday morning.
Of course, what was that experience like getting to coach at your alma mater and being the head bowling coach?
I mean, yeah, it was it wasn't a big deal. People kept trying to make a big deal about it. You're the head coach of the. No, no. This is not a situation where I just think a great opportunity. I'm filling a void. That's all I was doing. I'm just filling a void. I felt there was a need there, and so and a lot of people didn't even know we had a bowling team. That was the crazy part about it. A lot of people didn't even know we had a bowling team. We got a bowling team? Yes. Now they do. Now they do. But what I tried to do when I got there was to create an environment where to create a brand of the bowling team, not just being a bowling team, because the kids were lacking a lot of things. So I got them jerseys and that kind of thing, and I brought a whole new flair to it. So we got a webpage, and people know, the alumni know that we have a bowling team because I'm always posting stuff on there. So that was the biggest issue. Maybe being the coach there, people made a big thing about it than I did, because to me, as an alum of the university, I'm doing nothing more than stepping in when they're shorthanded and trying to keep the party going. That's it.
Of course, what does that typical game day look like for bowling matches?
Basically, we travel on Thursday, get there. The moment we get off the bus, we practice for like 2 hours, go to the hotel, get some dinner, get some rest. The next morning we up at like 6 o'clock, 6:30. We're at the bowling center like at 8 o'clock, exercise, stretch. And then I try to decide the lineup, what ball to play. And then we start. And I'm constantly moving players around and trying to find ways to for them to play better, because there was no defense in bowling, just all offense. So I'm trying to give them clues on where to play, how to play, what ball to play with, and hopefully they can execute it and be successful with it. So it doesn't always work. Sometimes it does. So that's the part where I'm not a very emotional guy when it comes to winning, I am to a degree, but it's like in the reality of the world, you know what your talent skill is, and you can't pull rabbits out of a hat when you have no hats to pull rabbits out of. Okay. So we work on trying to get players who can compete and want to compete. Like I said, it comes down to that. People say, I want to build a bowling team, but why? Why do you want to build a bowling team? Are you here for just the travel, or why are you here? To get out of class? Why are you here? So I have to go through all that, as I do in my class. Why are you in class? If you don't know, think about it before you come back.
Of course, what is that home game atmosphere like in your bowling arena?
Well, we haven't had a home tournament yet. I'm thinking about having one this year in town. The athletic director wants us to have one here, so maybe we'll have one here. But I know on campus, since people know we have a bowling team now, they come and watch us, or they come and want to challenge us. We had a challenge from the football team this past fall, who thought they could beat us, But right now we haven't had that. We have bowling lanes on campus, just 6 lanes, but we tend to play in the bigger arenas because we need more space for the kids, for the team to come play. So hopefully by the end of the year, first of next year, we may have a bowling tournament here in Huntsville. Then we'll see how that works in terms of people coming out and support us.
Of course, who are some of the teams that you compete against in your conference?
We play mostly the SWAC, Southwestern Atlantic Conference, which includes I know I see you interviewed Barry from Southern last week. We have Jackson State, Florida A&M, Prairie View A&M, Alabama State. I'm missing Texas Southern. There's only about 7 in Grambling. So about 7 to 8 teams in our group. But then we traveled this past season to Baltimore, Chicago, Houston, Atlanta. We play other teams around the country.
Of course, what is that like? Obviously, getting to compete against those teams like Jacksonville State and Southern that are in your conference, but then also
Yeah,
competing
Well,
non-conference.
yeah, Jackson. Well, we're all part of the SWAC conference, so we're all trying to fight for position because the top 6 teams go to the championship round in March, and so it's always a camaraderie because not only do we compete like in bowling, we compete in football, baseball, basketball, the whole 9 yards. So it's all about school pride and that kind of stuff, And some of these guys take this stuff pretty seriously. I try not to, Sometimes they say, "Coach, you don't really be emotional about stuff." But you see, you can't get emotional about things when you really can't control it. It's not like, "Hey, I'm going to put my shoes on. I'm going to join you guys, and we're going to win this game." I can't do that. You know, I have to depend on them. And so if they're telling me like, "Coach, I feel like I don't feel too good. Coach, I'm having a bad day. Coach," and then somebody's boo-hooing about, I don't know. It goes the full gambit, you know. So I've learned how to deal with it. This is my 7th year coming up. And when I started, I had no clue how long this was gonna go. I said, when these kids graduate, that may be it. And then I get these new kids in, and they're great kids, and I want to stay with them until they graduate. And now I got another bunch in. And okay, I'm going to try to stay with you guys until 4 years out. You got 4 years to get in and get out of here, and that's that. So, in the grand scheme of things, competition wise, it's friendly competition, but yet still it is competition.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've built for the Alabama A&M's bowling program?
Culture wise, we are winning. When the first year I started, we only won 7 or 12. I think it was 12 out of 85 games total. This past year, we won 41 games, even though we probably just gave away probably 20 in the last frame or two, but that's beside the point. But they it's been a challenge, but the culture there has been. It depends on the players once again. It's hard finding players because a lot of colleges are getting bowling programs, and you try to go out and recruit good players, but good players and their attitudes don't necessarily go hand in hand together. It's like buying it's like buying a used car, but you start up and it runs like crap. I'd love to have a car, but I don't have the money to invest in this thing to make it what I want it to be. So I'm just gonna leave it where it is. So you just never know until they get there, and see how well they deal with the adversity of college and classes and all that kind of stuff like that. So the ones who really love the bowl will stay in the lanes all the time.
Of course,
And go ahead.
what does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes looking to bowl?
Basically what I look at is skill. I mean, you don't have to be a 200 bowler. The bowl average 200. I love it, but you couldn't. If you average like 160, you got a good attitude and you're coachable. That's all that matters. The rest, I can teach you the rest. I mean, sometimes, you have to make, as my professor would say, make a lemonade out of lemons, and when you're trying to, and everybody, they go to these tournaments and it's just like a cattle call. They're trying to find who the person that everybody talks about. Everybody wants that player on their team. So you're trying to find these C+B- players that got heart, but just don't have the look that people are looking for. And so that's where I am right now, because the program hadn't been successful since 2014 when they won the SWAC last time, but we are the only HBCU that made it to the NCAA finals in 2006. And we lost to Fairleigh Dickinson 4-1, but we are the only HBCU to actually to get to the NCAA finals. So that's my goal, to try to get there and win.
Of course, can you talk about some of your coaching accomplishments that you've achieved at Alabama A&M?
Well, like I said, we haven't won the SWAC yet. But we had a number of players do well scoring wise individually, which is a result of coaching, watching them play. One girl averaged about 220 one Sunday. One of my players did. A lot of them just are becoming better at managing their time and bowling and understanding bowling. I mean, it's small victories here and there, but I watched them mature. And that's the biggest thing is watch these kids come as freshmen and watch them mature by the time they get out, by the time they finish school at 22. You know, a lot of stuff that is not stuff that I can't teach. A lot of it has to just be learned just by your experiences per se. And that's the biggest thing, just watching how they have learned how to adapt with their classes, how to adapt with stress on the lanes, how they've learned to adapt with dealing with their teammates and the professors also. And at the end of the day, when they finally walk across the stage, they're really happy about the whole thing, And I look at these are all my kids. They're all my kids. Now, my sisters, my wife and I treat them like they are kids. And so a lot of times I've had conversation with them one-on-one, and I like to believe that I try to create this kind of rapport with them where they feel like they can talk to me just about anything if they have to. And if not, I can always talk to my wife. They feel strange talk to me about it. But I try to tell them that, I'm not judging you. I'm just trying to find ways to help you. I just want you to succeed no matter what. Even if you drop off the team, I still want to know that you're doing okay wherever you are. If it's at home or if it's here on campus, I still want to because you came through the program, and we made that connection. And I've been, like I said, part-time teaching since '96 at A&M, 98, and so a lot of kids that I taught then now have kids, and a couple of them have kids who've already graduated this past year. So it becomes a way of just understanding the grand scheme of things. It's just it's just a community. It's a bowling team, and it's a community of the school as a whole. And everybody has to play their part in the community, and know what that part is. Everybody has a part in that. You just don't know what that is. But at some place, sometime, somewhere, hopefully you'll make an impression upon somebody and it'll make a difference in it.
Of course, what does that prospective student athlete looking to come to Alabama A&M look at in those official visits?
From their perspective, what they looking what they look at, or
what does the official visit look like?
Basically, they come and we give a tour of the campus, a tour of the bowling facility, and we have a health and wellness center that has a Olympic-sized swimming pool, weight room, indoor track, two huge a gym for basketball, two huge courts. Place they have a classroom study. What else? I said weight room and an exercise room, two different places. So I mean, they have they could be in the gym, they could be in that building all day. They could, and just until they got tired of just being there, they could. And then we give them a tour of the campus. And I don't know if you know much about Huntsville, but you said North Carolina, right? What part? What part of North Carolina?
Near Raleigh.
Near Raleigh, okay. Okay, so you're near the Appalachians then. Okay, so Huntsville's like near the foothills of the Appalachians, we're to say. So, it's a beautiful, I've been there 40 years. It's a beautiful place. And a lot of people fall in love with the campus just because on what I call a Chamber of Commerce day, when it's like 75, 76 degrees outside and sunny, it's just gorgeous. And a lot of kids just walk the campus. It is on the hill to a degree, but we don't have a bus system here. And so they take them around and show them what buildings are what buildings. But campus is not that big, but it's walkable. I walked it when I was up here back in the 80s. So yeah, we try to get them a sense of feeling about the campus. Hopefully the beauty will be the closing deal on the whole thing. The campus, great. Look at the surrounding. Imagine seeing the hills from a distance. It's just it's breathtaking. That's what got me up here. I took one look. I stepped outside. I'm like, this is gorgeous. That was 1980. Here it is 2023.
Of course, as a head coach, what is it like seeing those prospective student athletes fall in love with the facility of the bowling alleys?
Uh, Most of them have a knack for it anyway. The ones who really like it. Inside the lanes, I've learned to become the coach and the maintenance guy to keep the lanes running, oiling the lanes and repairing the lanes when they break down. So they are really just coming in to grab the ball. There's no charge for the players, so they're just gonna start bowling. And I go in and set up the lane so that they can bowl on their own. Yeah, I don't have to be there with them. And you can come in here and practice until you close the place. I don't really care, except when we have practice that I see that you have indeed gotten better or whatever you were working on. So yeah, but they like being at the bowling center because it's comfortable and they have a snack bar in there and everything. So they it's one of the places you're gonna hang out on campus. Leave your dormitory, come to the bowling center.
Of course, as a head coach, what is it like seeing those freshmen come in and blossom and into seniors?
Um, yeah, well, freshmen, well, kids today are different than they were 5 years ago. Okay. They're I don't know if it was COVID or whatever, but you know, um, since I'm as old as I, because I'm 63, right? How old are you?
25.
25. Okay. So my perspective and yours is two different. As I tell my classes, I'm from the 20th century, man. And I look, okay, I'm just trying to figure this whole thing out, okay? But when they come, I talk to the parents and try to get the parents to um understand what we're about to do and what that's going to entail. And then I expect from them, to play. And they get it. And I'll ask that they do the work. I can't follow you to class. I can't constantly just peep in on you. I assume that you're responsible because you say you're grown now because you're with your parents. And I let them go. And they manage through. They get through, and when they graduate, like I say, it's a great thing when they do that, you know. Just trying to get them off to a good start and keep and sustain that through the whole process. Because what I found out is that college is more of a 4 years of survival versus academics. Because you have to balance so many things. You got to balance your lifestyle, your health, your classes, um, just a lot of things that could happen in that time period. And if you can get through all 4 years and graduate, your grades are 3+ or better, 3.0 or better, pat yourself on the shoulder because you have passed the test. Bowling, football, doesn't matter what the sport is. You have passed the test. And you should be pretty good set for going forward in your life. I would think so. But get off to a good start.
Of course, what are some of your future plans for the bowling program moving forward?
Um, Trying to I'm working on getting new machinery for we might be getting new lanes at the lanes on campus, new oil machines, trying to just constantly upgrade some stuff that haven't been done in some time now. Since the lanes have been there about 12 or 13 years. So just trying to get the school to upgrade some of these things and make it a appeal for the students on campus. Because right now the students on campus don't bowl that much, but I want to start teaching a bowling class to where kids who want to bowl, learn how to bowl, take a class because they teach golf on golf and volley. I guess they teach volleyball. I don't know, but they do teach golf. So I like to teach bowling to kids who want to learn how to bowl as a class, and maybe that would generate more interest in a bowling center on campus and create more buzz that way. So I'm trying to find a sponsor for the program and to help it grow even more what it is. The biggest challenge though, Brandon, really is just in the community, trying to get the community more involved in bowling. A lot of we have high school bowling here, but parents just don't support high school bowling like they do volleyball or other sports. And that's my biggest thing. It's more than just bowling, really. For me, it's more like a social kind of thing. It's trying to give kids who wouldn't necessarily have the opportunity to get scholarships outside of the normal Pell Grant thing to maybe learn how to compete and to go for to these tournaments where they could actually win or get scholarship money for college. And a lot of parents start their kids at about 9. And by the time they run the gamut until they're 18, they can collect anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 for college just from bowling alone. And so my thing is just trying to get more young people involved in it. And that's been the hardest thing. Recruiting is hard because there's a shortage of great players and everybody wants one of them. And because of that, you got to take you can't buy the national brand. You got to find the generic lookalike and try to make the same meal with that versus buying name brand stuff. So that's basically how it is, really.
Of course, what advice would you give those people looking to go compete in college in bowling?
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
What advice would you give people that are looking to go to college to compete?
Oh, I would say if they didn't bowl, you should join a local bowling league on Saturday. Most of them on Saturday morning. Some places have high school competition in the evening time. But I would join that and just learn how to bowl. And then there's tons of YouTube videos online. More than likely, parents know it's very expensive, but like I say, there are tons of people out there that got bowling balls sitting around the house and just doing nothing. They can just donate them to local high schools or to local programs, so the kids can learn how to bowl and learn how to bowl correctly and get competitive and be able to actually earn that, compete in tournaments. Pepsi has a national tournament every year that they give away money, scholarship money for college, and like I say, they come as young as under 10, and it's the way that their involvement with bowling, USBC, is to try to create more youth excitement, more or less. And when you go up north, maybe where you are, bowling is much more prominent there than it is down south. Here in Alabama, it's what? Football. It's football enough. you know. So most that's what it is. Most of the South and Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, it's football or nothing. So trying to get young people involved in that in high school, because a lot of people still don't know about it, and they don't find it exciting because it's not like taking the ball and shooting the winning basket or getting a base hit or scoring a touchdown. No, it's not like that. And that's a challenge for bowling overall. How do you bring excitement into the lanes where people are like, this is just like watching paint dry, just like golf. Either you like it or you don't. If you can't sit and watch it on TV, don't try it, because it can be very frustrating. But just by happenstance, you hit one great shot. Your mission is to do that again. If it takes you 100 to do it, you're gonna keep swinging at it. Just I know I got you. I know what I just did. No, you have no clue. So yeah, so that's the biggest challenge, is trying to get more people and tell them to join a local league, and they'll find coaches who can help them do that. Because there are a lot of great bowlers who just bowl for fun or bowl for money, leave for money. But some people are very kind. Like if you just walk up to them, like, could you just show me what I'm doing wrong? That's what I did. I started with little kids around about 6, 7 years old. I just love kids, and then the next thing I know, I needed more information on how to teach them how to do it properly. And now I feel like I have that information, and I just want to take it and share it with people who don't know, and just hopefully make them happy bowlers.
Of course, what advice would you give those freshmen entering their first year of collegiate bowling?
First of all, I would watch my schedule. First of all, I would make sure that whatever major I chose, that's what I'm sure I want to do. Because a lot of freshmen come in pursuing something that they thought they knew, but they have no clue. They guess, or they think, well, Uncle so and so, I want to be like him. If you weren't very mechanically inclined and didn't have an aptitude for mathematics and science, then mechanical engineering is probably not for you. Okay. On the other hand, if you like to write, draw, paint, art, that's probably your best thing. Which basically tells me that either you're creative or you're not. If you're not very technically oriented into math and science, then chances are you're probably just very creative. You just don't know it. You hadn't pursued that yet. Too many students I found out jump into majors that they think they know, but they don't know. They don't do the research to find out what's beyond the first year, and then they find themselves struggling through school. And when you're trying to learn how to, when you're traveling and you can bowl, but your studies are hard, it becomes a challenge. And a lot of kids, no matter in their game, they would just drop out. I had one kid drop out. Now my program, he's a guy from my youth program. He got a scholarship to go play in college, and he played the first year, and then he dropped out. He decided he wanted the bowl, so he left and moved to Cincinnati, and that's what he does now. He works in the bowl center. His dad's happy with that. He's 22, I think it is. Yeah. So he's happy with it. Meanwhile, his friend, who was their best player in high school, his friend graduated from college. He graduated this past spring. So he knew exactly what he wanted. The other guy, that wasn't his forte. He knew it wasn't. He jumped out. Had one kid who after my same program in the academy, left and went to college in Virginia, and he was the rookie of the year, freshman rookie of the year, until unfortunately he met this young lady, and one thing led to another. Now he's back home again, and now he's a pop. So that happens. So so it's being, you have to learn how to manage your time as well as your life while you're in college. That's why college is a challenge. It's not like what people think it is. It's not parties and whatever, because sooner or later the partying will catch up with you, either because of sleep or just because you're not even focused. You're just trying to get back in school because that's what a party is. And I hate to say that, but I mean, when I see students struggle in my classes, and I see them struggle, and then I try to talk to them, like, tell me what it is that you're trying to do. A lot of times they don't know, and these are not even athletes. But when you become an athlete, you got to practice, you got to work out, you got to do all that kind of thing. So it's a challenge for a freshman coming in with all these. I like to say, when the honeymoon's over, between the 1st of September and mid-October or midterm, it's like the honeymoon's in full effect. Football games going on, tailgating parties, and then it's over. And then it comes down to finals and see how well you actually did. And then from that point, just trying to see if you're going to come back the next semester with your grades being like it is, and your parents, it's like, so how'd it go? Or did it go? If it did, where'd it go? So in a nutshell, that's how it is. So freshmen they have to be on top of their game when they first get there.
Of course, what advice would you give those people that are looking to coach on the collegiate level for a collegiate bowling program?
I think there would be a lot of possible job opportunities coming down the line. People want to coach. First of all, you got to love bowling. First thing, you got to love bowling. Second thing is, you got to have patience, staff, and be able to understand your players. My age difference between my players, and if I was like in my early mid-30s, it'd be different, because it's like trying to really just get them together. But a lot of them see me as a pop, as a father figure kind of thing, right? So naturally, when I come at them, I'm basically saying, okay, tell me what's going on in your head. Because, I'm not going to get into a shouting match, because that's not going to resolve anything. So I'm trying to communicate to them. And I tell them all the time, if you don't communicate to me, I'm going to assume something. And if I assume something, it's going to be bad. It's never going to be good. There's never any good behind that. So that's my biggest point. They have to be able to have patience, understand their players, and try to recruit players that understand them, and their parents also, because the parents are the outside voice that's constantly calling the AD saying, like, my girl's not playing. Why isn't she playing? Yeah. So you got to have patience. You got to have a smile. Yeah.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find the Alabama A&M bowling program on social media?
You can go to the AMU website of Alabama A&M, or you can go to Lady Bulldogs Bowling Girl on Facebook. There's an Instagram page, but the kids created that when I didn't. But the Lady Bulldogs Bowling Girl is on Facebook, and we live stream the tournaments and capture as much as we can with that. So that's kind of a challenge too, because we having to pay for all the Wi-Fi or whatever. But my wife has been very great this whole process, man. She kind of backs me up. She's working full time as an engineer, so she takes time off to come travel with us or whatever. So I couldn't have done it without her being a part of this whole thing, because it is a challenge to do it by yourself. You need the right people behind you to help get stuff done. So to her, man, this behind every successful man, there's a woman, no doubt about that. So my wife has been very grateful to that, and for her, I'm very grateful for that too.
Thank you again, Coach James Moore, for your interview, and best of luck in your future at Alabama A&M as the head bowling coach.
Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate the time to do this, to just kind of get the word out there, and I appreciate what you're doing. And I do hope that maybe, we get a chance to talk again, maybe in the spring after I've won the SWAC, okay, about what that experience was like, and hopefully that'd be a good story to tell.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. Thank you again, Coach James Moore, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.